Welcome back to Volume 2 of Scarecorn, episode or day 4 or whatever. I think it was day, this is day 4.
Day 4, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
I don't know, I liked the Wolfman.
Well, that makes one of us.
I liked his I have to take a dump face.
Yes, every scene he's in, he's like, oh, mommy!
Okay, so the Wolfman opens up with Lawrence Talbot, Larry, coming home, and he helps his dad put together like a telescope, in which he just immediately starts creeping on the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, this is probably before that law was passed saying, hey, don't be using a telescope to look in people's houses.
But yeah, no, he starts looking in the antique shops, or yeah. So the girl who lives in the antique shop, Gwen, has her window open and she's checking out her earrings or something like that. And he's just like, "Oh, I'm so excited about this! I'm gonna march right down there and I'm gonna be really creepy to her."
Yeah, he did a thing where he looked in the window and then he's like, "Oh, I'll just stare with my eyes." And he looked away. He's like, "Oh wait, no, I can't see. I gotta go back to back to the telescope."
So he goes down there and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm looking for earrings." And she's like, she pulls out the earrings and he's like, "None of those. No, I want the crescent moons." And she's like, "We don't have any of those." He's like, "No, you do. They're up in your bedroom. I saw them. I'm psychic." And she's like, "Those aren't for sale. Please leave." He's like,
No. She didn't say leave.
Yeah, I know. I'm paraphrasing.
Well, she should have said please leave.
So he's like, "Well, you know what? I'll just buy a cane." And she's like, "What kind of cane do you want?" And he's like, "I don't know. Any kind." So she pulls out like 2 different options, and he's like, "No, not those." He settles on a cane with a wolf and a pentagram made of silver. And then he's like, "Hey, you want to go see the gypsies at 8 o'clock tonight? Get our fortunes told?"
And she's like, "No."
He's like, "All right, I'll be back at 8.
I know.
So he comes back.
Oh, you gotta say it one more time, Joe. You gotta say, okay. No, because he didn't say gypsies. He said, want to hang out at 8.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, "No." And then he's like, "Oh, you want to go do this?" She's like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, we'll go see the gypsies at 8." And she's like, "No." Which means yes in this time period.
So she leaves the store at 8, and he just comes around the corner like, "Hey, you're waiting for me."
Well, let's give Larry some props. She stood outside the door after she left. Like, she looked left, she looked right, she's like, "Huh. Where's this fucking guy at?" And then Larry came around.
Yeah, and so they take their friend as well. So it's they bring the third wheel, Jenny, to the gypsy caravan, and Jenny.
Let me just say, Jenny is so much. If I was Larry, Jenny seems like she has more personality.
I mean, they were both pretty much blank slates. But anyway, so she gets her fortune read by Dracula. And
actual Dracula. The guy who played Dracula in the beginning, in the first movie we watched.
And Larry's like, "Well, we should, give her some space. You want to go out in the woods with me? They're kind of foggy right now. Nobody will see anything if it happens."
Larry's like, "I'm going to fucking murder you. I'm going to fucking murder you."
And so Dracula...
I'm giving you all the signs that I'm a murderer.
Dracula turns out to be a werewolf, and he kills Jenny. And then Larry kills Dracula. But not after getting bit. So he goes... He staggers home, essentially. Like, they had to carry him back to his house.
Well, the gypsy woman and Gwen carry Larry back to the house. And then the gypsy woman... You know, of all things, could have been like, "Hey, I'm going to explain what's going to happen." But she's like, "No, more people need to die, so I'm going to leave."
Yeah, I'm out. See ya. And so the next day, Larry wakes up and the cops are questioning him.
No, okay. I want to point this out because this is a really dumb scene. This has nothing to do with the movie. They're knocking on his door. They're like, bang, bang, bang.
His bedroom door.
Bang, bang, bang. And so Larry gets up and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to open the door." And they come walking right in. They're like, "Well, Larry, why aren't you in bed?" "Well, fuck, you're knocking on the door."
So they question him.
I'm going to point out all the stupid bullshit that...
They question him. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's kind of like, well, maybe you're just an idiot. Because Dracula's dead to a conk on the head. They found your cane next to him. And the girl is also dead. So, you might be an idiot we don't know. The jury's still out on that one. So they leave, and Larry's dad's like, look, I'll handle them. It's fine. I'm rich. I can cover for you.
That's essentially what he said without saying it.
So Larry decides he's going to go out and see if Gwen's okay. And the local book club comes in and they're like, why did my little Jenny have to die? And Larry comes and he breaks it up because he's a big man. He's
the one time he doesn't have a shit looking face on, or he's about to shit himself.
And so he's like, well, I'm gonna go talk to Gwen to see if she's okay. And
oh, you heard all that, Gwen? I'm sorry.
And then Gwen's soon-to-be husband comes in.
Is it soon-to-be husband or
she was engaged?
Yeah, so that's a plot point that never goes anywhere. She's like, I can't be hanging out with you. Why is that, Gwen?
I'm engaged.
I'm engaged.
Oh, you want to hang out later?
All right. I like where this is going.
So, Gwen and her soon-to-be husband go to the...
Well, okay, wait. Let's back it up, because you made a funny joke. And I had a joke in my head, but I didn't say it, but you said it. So, the soon-to-be husband comes in with the dog. And the dog's barking only at Larry. Now, Larry, or the husband, soon-to-be husband's like, yeah, I'm going to have a conversation with you right now at the dog barking. And Gwen's like, hey, maybe you should take the dog and take it outside. So then the soon-to-be husband takes the dog outside and Larry's like, this is my chance, I'm getting out of here. He doesn't say it, he's like, I'll leave you two to it. So he goes to leave and Jeff's like, wouldn't it be funny if because now they're on, you can hear Larry leave. You can hear the door open and close. Jacob's like, wouldn't it be funny if Larry walks out and all of a sudden, like they're having the two, Gwen and the husband are having the conversation, and you just hear roof, roof, roof. It didn't happen. It would have been funny, but that was a missed joke that they could have done. Yeah,
they take the dog out and put it somewhere where it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure the husband, from all these movies, I'm pretty sure the husband just like snapped the dog's neck. Like, I can't have this.
No, he just let the dog go. He's just like, well, dog, you live outside now. Be free. So they go to the gypsy festival thing, and all three of them meet up.
Well, Larry is like walking around, and he sees the two, and he's
Larry's looking for a toilet at this time.
By the way, Jay also did point out a very key fact. So this cane that he has, he never once puts it on the ground. He just carries it like a gun.
He carries it at his side, like horizontally, and never uses it, like as like a walking stick or whatever. Because, like, Larry's a young guy. Well, kind of, maybe.
Larry's like a 40-year-old playing a 25-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, things were different back then. But, so, they go to the shooting gallery together. And Larry's really good. He's a really good shot. Until the wolf comes up. And he just, like, kind of breaks down.
I can't kill my daddy.
And so, That kind of just, he's like, well,
he runs off.
He's like, I gotta go, and he gets pulled in by the lead gypsy lady, and she's like, look,
the mom who carried him home.
She's like, look, you're a werewolf.
I could explain this like a day ago before anything, but I decided not to.
Anyway, here's an amulet that'll keep you safe.
And Larry's like, well, I'm gonna give this to Gwen.
And so she's like, well, I don't take gifts without giving in return, so here's a penny. And he's like, that's not enough. And he closes in for the kiss, and then he runs away.
She runs away.
Yeah.
Because all the gypsies are like, there's a werewolf! There's a werewolf!
There was a werewolf in town. We're leaving. And so he goes home and peacefully turns into a werewolf.
It's the most, like, tame of all, like, if anybody transforming, because sometimes when somebody, like in movies, when somebody transforms, they're like, oh well, we can't actually animate that, so we'll turn it away and we'll look at a shadow of like arms coming out.
Yeah, and they'll be in pain and they'll be screaming.
This is like playing like a do 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 do, and then you just see his like one picture goes over another picture over another picture.
It just crossfades into him becoming like his feet. Now, not his face or anything.
Now, if anybody wants to laugh, and if you are been on YouTube for a little bit, and you heard of this guy, JonTron. The werewolf looks like JonTron.
From certain angles.
And it was unsettling because ever since then, it was just like, that's JonTron.
So the werewolf goes out and he kills a gravedigger. And then he goes back home, leaving a trail of footprints, and the cops follow it. And you see them outside the house. And they don't put two and two together or anything. They're just like, well, that was weird. It was a wolf.
Yeah, so the dad's like, the werewolf came up here. And if Larry was smart, he'd been like, is a werewolf inside? No, it was like, Larry's like, oh, okay.
So at this point, what Larry knows he's a werewolf. He's a Larry wolf. Tried to make that work, it didn't work. But
I'm pretty sure somebody laughed. I mean, I laughed a little bit.
So
I was more laughing that you actually made a joke.
I do that occasionally. So let's see what happens next.
Oh, they go to a funeral. They go to the gravedigger's funeral, and some guy's like, he digs graves for people, and now we're digging a grave for him.
Yeah, and one of the book club members is like, there weren't any murders in our town until Larry came.
That's a fair point.
And the dude's like, no, you can't say that. That's slander. And so Larry escapes the church.
Yeah, everybody looks at Larry, and he's like, oh, Bobby! He literally has, every scene he's in, he looks like he's about ready to cry.
Okay, so what happens next?
Well, let's just skip to, like...
The climax?
Well, some of the climax. He's in the... Like, he turns again, like, the next
Oh,
night
yeah, he does, doesn't he?
And he's, like, walking in the woods. This time they put traps down, and he's walking in the woods, and he gets caught in a trap. And then he goes, oh, and he, like, passes out. And the gypsy woman, being the fucking horrible person she is, comes up and goes... It's not your fault, and then he transforms back into into Larry.
And then the hunters are coming around the corner. He's like, "Well, I gotta get this bear trap off," and
he gets it off. Somehow he gets it off.
He just does it.
I mean, this is 1930, so it's probably not built to the
And then he just kind of limps off, and they're like, "What are you doing here, Larry?" And he's like, "I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I'm on a hunt."
Yeah, and he just walks.
I'm on a hunt for a toilet.
He walks like he's got to take a shit. And everybody's like, is that Larry? Yeah, that's Larry. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's weird that Larry's out here. But, I guess nothing means anything now.
So now he runs to Gwen and says, hey, I'm leaving.
And she's like, I'm coming with you!
I love you!
And he's like, no! I saw the pentagram in your hand. That means you're next.
And Gwen's like,
but I didn't see anything.
Yeah. So that, I guess Larry fucked up because is the pentagram supposed to keep him from turning into a werewolf?
I assume that's what it was supposed to be.
Because Larry gave it to Gwen, and then we'll find out later that thing was just fucking stupid.
Yeah, so Larry goes home, and he's like, look, Dad, I'm a werewolf. And his dad's just like, nope, no son of mine's a furry. And he's like, I'm gonna put you in the sex chair, gonna tighten down your hands, your arms, your legs. You're not going anywhere. I've locked the windows. I'm gonna lock this door. And Larry's like, Dad, take the cane, just in case. And he's like, okay. So the hunt is on, and his dad is out there. He talks to the gypsy woman, who's like, why are you out here? You scared or something? And he's like, no, not really, I don't think. And then Gwen's out here as well, and then she gets attacked by the Wolfman. And the Wolfman is really dumb, because he doesn't use, like, his claws or his teeth. The things that wolves would use. Yeah. He goes in for, like, a strangle? And then Larry's dad comes around and just starts whacking him with the cane.
Bad dog.
And he just whacks him to death. And then the gypsy lady does her speech. Larry turns into Larry again. And the constable comes up and says, yes, Gwen must have been attacked, and Larry came to save her.
Movie end! Yeah!
And that's it! That was great.
That was the best fucking line I've ever heard in any fucking movie. Well, Larry must have protected her.
What a good guy that Larry was. Definitely not a werewolf.
And the dad's like, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's it. That's the movie.
So now Larry's dead. Now we don't know if the father got bit or not because it kind of looked like he got bit, but they never like.
I mean, there's a sequel, so I would.
Is there a sequel?
I think so.
But we're not watching it.
I think it's a crossover. I think it's Dracula versus the werewolf or something.
Well, it makes sense.
Dracula did
kill
die.
Dracula. Yeah, he did kill Dracula.
But yeah. This is probably...
The worst one? Yeah.
No, I think it's better than Bride of Frankenstein, just on the grounds that the werewolf was in this one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we did see the werewolf at the beginning, but it was more of a dog in the beginning one.
Yeah, but there was still a werewolf.
No, I know. What I'm saying is, in the beginning of the movie, it was a dog, and then now that shitface got to be the werewolf, it was a person. It was Jontron. And then so he was like halfway in the movie, unlike the Bride of Frankenstein was at the very end of the movie. By the way, I read your comment. If you put a comment there, very disappointed in you guys.
Dang. You guys got roasted. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's hope. We're on a downhill slide. These movies suck.
I'm not entirely sure which one's next.
You're loving it. You're like, this is the greatest movie ever.
I think it's Invisible Man next, so
we won't see nothing.
Yeah.
It's John Cena. Boo boo doo doo.
Dang.
Before anyway, were you waiting on that joke? Were you sitting on that joke? You're like, I'm gonna make a
I was not.
I wasn't thinking it either until
I was not gonna make
you
a
said
John
it's
Cena
Invisible
joke.
Man. I'm like, oh yeah. All right, so yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully.
Hopefully you'll see us tomorrow. We will. Hopefully we don't.
Guess what? You know what? I think we should use some special effects for tomorrow.
Just not upload anything. Yeah.
No, we should be invisible. You want to do that? We'll be
Yeah,
invisible tomorrow?
Sure, we'll be invisible.
We'll do it.
Okay.
We got a budget.
But you won't see us tomorrow.
You won't see us tomorrow.
Goodbye.